right, welcome to another edition of Race Stories with Billy and Sam. I don't know what to call this. The Middle Eastern edition, the Oman edition, the Sultanate?
The Sultanate of Oman edition.
Okay, the Sultanate of Oman edition. I don't have any... I'm pretty excited about days in Dubai. I got some alliteration there, but I don't have anything
That's
for
the next
Oman.
video, man.
I know. So... yeah, we're going to tell you race stories and stories about our travels, and mostly this is for future Billy and Sam, because I think you two are the only ones who actually watch this. But we can remember what in the world we did. So...
Tell us about the trip. Starting with the trip over. How long did it take? Any issues? Those kinds of things.
I don't remember who booked the airplane. But that guy was cheap. So I started in Jacksonville, Florida on Tuesday. And got to Oman Thursday at 5 in the morning. That'd be a fair...
I don't even know what day it is, so yeah, let's pretend that's what is correct.
That's right. So yeah, I flew up to JFK and had a pretty long layover there, and then you joined me there, and then we flew to Amsterdam to Dubai to Oman to Muscat.
I did not mind the layovers. We've been on those really long flights before, long direct flights, and it's hard to get up and get around on the airplane, or you just have to force yourself to do that. I mean, I suppose if you had one of the pods or the suites or whatever where you could lay down and go to sleep, then that would be the deal. But, hopping out at JFK and walking around for a little bit, hopping out in the Netherlands, walking around, and then hopping out in Dubai and running around.
That's the story.
That kind of was. It made the trip longer, but it did. I think it made my legs feel a little bit better.
So the flight from JFK to Amsterdam was very empty, is what I would call it.
Dude, we each had 4 seats to ourselves that could stretch out. We had our own lay flat seats.
Yeah. So basically, you had a pod.
You
just didn't have to pay for it.
My flight from Atlanta to JFK, I was in a lay flat seat. It wasn't long enough to lay flat and go to sleep, but yeah, that was nice.
Everybody's kind of everybody knew in JFK that the flight was empty, so everybody's boarding. I had selected one of the empty rows, so there was me and there was nobody else on that row. There was the row in front of me and the row behind me, and we talked about the game theory of, do you pick a 2 on the window?
Because you'll get the 2.
Because, there's nobody's going to fill in that second seat.
Mine was a rookie mistake, though. I don't know what I was thinking. I picked the bulkhead row, which is the row of seats that's like right in front of the next section that has like a wall in front of it. Do not ever pick that row if you're going for an empty row, because the TV consoles are in the armrest, and so the armrest doesn't lift up, so you'd never be able to lay across. I don't know what I was thinking. I knew that's how that was, and I picked it anyway. And then by the time that I realized it, what was going on, I couldn't change my seat because it was within an hour of the flight or whatever. So we get to board pretty early. Almost first.
Yeah.
So we're getting on, and I asked the flight attendant, I was like, hey, and I show him on the app, I was like, is it okay if I move rows once the boarding doors closed? And he was like, oh yeah, sure, sit anywhere you want. I said, well, can I move rows now? And he was like, I might better wait.
Some people didn't have that same philosophy.
Yeah, because they go through and they have this chart on a computer screen, and they make sure everybody's in their correct seat. But I guess it was so empty on this plane that they didn't even do that.
No.
So what happened was I'm sitting here and I'm scouting out the rows that I want, because they're just kind of over and to my right, and I see these other people set their stuff down on the row, and I'm like, uh-oh, I messed that up. And then they go up to the next cabin to the premium. So we're in Comfort Plus. They go to Premium Select, and they're scouting out a place to sit in Premium Select. Well, shoot, I'd have done that too if I knew that I could get away with it. And sure enough, they couldn't get away with it. And the flight attendant sends them all the way back to main cabin, which is where they were supposed to be, and so it frees up that row. So I go ahead and I'm like, all right, I'm just taking the chance, and I get on that row, and you kind of bulk up and you put your stuff in the seat beside you.
Yeah, this is, if you've ever flown Southwest rules, it felt a lot like that. You stick a screaming baby next to you.
Yeah, something like I don't want anybody.
No, we got the middle seat here. This is covered.
And so I'm sitting there, and right before and in the meantime, somebody had gotten in Sam's row and realized.
Went to the bathroom, and I come back, and I had my seat. I had my stuff in my seat. Like, clearly there was somebody there, and she had sat in the seat right next to me. And I was like, okay, this is how this is about to go. It's like, I'm going to sit here because this is my seat. Oh, and she moves around to the row behind me.
Which was an empty row. The row that I get in, they put some standby airline folks in my row. I'm like, dang it.
That's so close.
And so now I'm looking around, and there's several rows back. There's another empty row. So I go move all my stuff back there. And in the meantime, the airline, the standby airline people, which people that work for the airline, went and talked to the purser, and she allowed them to go to Premium Select, which freed back up that row in front of Sam. So I went back up to that row, and so anyway, it worked out. But still, there was a whole bunch of musical chairs going on there for about 10 or 15 minutes, and then the stupid flight was delayed, leaving forever for JFK.
Can't imagine why.
And then, but it didn't arrive too late in Amsterdam, and it didn't really bother us. We didn't have any issues. But then the Amsterdam plane was late leaving Amsterdam, and it wasn't too terribly late, 20 or 30 minutes or something. Ended up arriving, 10 minutes late, 15 minutes late or something like that, which wouldn't have been a big deal, except for we had booked two separate tickets, right? We did a round trip from Dubai through Delta, and we ended up flying KLM from Amsterdam to Dubai, but it doesn't matter. It was still a Delta ticket, and then Dubai back to the U.S. And then from Dubai, we booked two one-way tickets.
Correct.
One way from Dubai to Oman, and then one way from Oman back to Dubai. So basically, that just means the tickets aren't connected, which means that your luggage doesn't go all the way through to Oman. It was significantly cheaper that way.
Yes.
And we had 2.5 hours in Dubai.
Which seems like more than enough time.
To get through customs. You have to get your luggage. You have to exit the airport, really, and then enter back up and check your luggage back in, and then go check in. Tell us about that situation.
So, this was one of my more brilliant ideas. I remember booking the tickets like 2.5 hours is enough time, right? That should be enough time. I mean, we've been through enough. We've never flown through Dubai before, but we've been through enough international customs that we pretty well feel it. And once again, you're still in the COVID era. Travel is low, so we're going through customs reasonably fast. So, as it turns out, we came into we'll call it the international terminal. Emirates is at Terminal 3. I'm very familiar with that. And the twain shall never meet. We go outside to figure out how to get to hey, how do we get to Sesame Street? And as it turns out, there was not a way at whatever. I mean, that was midnight, so it's not like it was early.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, there's a shuttle bus that will take you, but this is at 12. I mean, it's probably almost 1 in the morning by this time. Dubai time. I have no idea what time it was our time. Probably a reasonable hour. But there was okay. So what you have to do, and we had this issue in Spain when the Iberia terminal. They all use the same runways, but the Iberia terminal was like way far away from every other terminal. This international terminal was way far away from the other terminals. I mean, it took us so anyway, we're exiting and we go to the shuttle stop because there's a stop that says shuttle to Terminal 3 or 1 or wherever we were going, and we're standing there and the bus drives up and we're like, okay, can we hop on? And he's like, no. And we're like, but the sign says, and he was like, that's finished for tonight. No more tonight or whatever. Yeah. You have to get a taxi. And we were like, okay. And he's like, the taxis are downstairs, which is where we came from. And then he was like, but I can call a taxi for you. Yeah. And that's what he said, I can call a taxi for you. And we're like, okay, yeah, if you can call a taxi for us, that'd be fine. He said, he'll pick us up here. And he's like, yeah. And so he called and he said 5 or 6 minutes. And it's like, okay. In the meantime, I mean, it's not that big of a deal to us. I mean, we feel like we have plenty of time. Except for once we got in the taxi, which was another shuttle bus.
Yeah.
It took at least 20 minutes, 25 minutes.
Yeah, close 25 minutes.
We were thinking, it's a shuttle bus. It's 5 minutes down the road.
The dude had to go into Dubai and turn around and come back. I mean, it was. I turned on my phone because I was like, "There's no way this is right," and it was the way that Google was directing us. So the guy had it right. But yes,
it was forever. The terminals themselves. I don't think we could have walked it in that amount of time. But there's a train, so if you don't have to collect your luggage, there's a train inside the airport that'll take you from terminal to terminal. But we had to collect our luggage, and you can't get on the train once you collected your luggage.
Yeah, we got some notes for Dubai's logistics.
So we get to
Emirates.
We get to the correct terminal. We go find where we need to go check in, and then we get in line. And there was a little bit of a queue. It took us, maybe 5 or 6 minutes?
Yeah, probably, not bad.
Which was exactly the amount of time that it took for them to close our flight and not let us get on.
Yes.
I walk up to the counter, and the guy's like, he's like, where are you going, Oman? I said, Muscat. And he typed it up, and he was like, oh, that flight's closed.
Yeah.
And it was 54, at that point, it was 54 minutes before the flight took off.
Yeah.
That they said that it was closed. So I guess they closed it an hour before, I don't know, which was probably about the time we got in line, but it doesn't matter.
The lesson here is that, one, they start boarding 45 minutes early. They close the doors at 30 minutes early, according to what their thing said. So yeah, I'm sure pre-board and that kind of stuff, you're talking about an hour before. So
mind you, we've already been flying for more than 24 hours. And this is just a hop from Dubai. It's only like an hour flight from Dubai to Oman.
There's this flight, and there's one at 5 p.m. So, right, we could either get there at 5 in the morning or 5 p.m. in the afternoon the next day. Or same day.
And we needed to be there at 5 in the morning because 5 in the afternoon wasn't going to work because we needed to check in. That day was check-in day. Yeah. The next day was race day. So he's scurrying around and finally figures out that yes, we can get on the plane.
Yeah, with bikes. I don't know what he did. That guy was awesome though.
But he kept asking us for different paperwork, and of course we had it. We had everything we needed.
Did we have everything?
So we thought. He was like, your visa, and we had this travel certificate or whatever that you had to fill out all this stuff online.
For COVID stuff, really.
And he was like, no, your visa. And we were like, I don't even know why.
Visa. This is the visa, right?
And finally, I think he hit some buttons and was like, I'm making this Oman's problem.
Yeah.
Because this guy's because he had already committed to letting us get on the plane.
Yeah.
And he was like, at least it's close. And it wasn't as close as what I thought that he had said.
Yeah.
But when we finished, he was like, run.
Yes.
We were like,
yeah,
okay.
So we're watching our bikes disappear in the distance, and they have to go through their own separate thing. And I was like, man,
sure hope those make it on there. It would have been okay.
It'd
have been okay if they'd made it at 5 because we didn't have to have those to check in. But still, it was. But it worked out. I mean, so we got to Oman and we didn't have the visa. We looked it up and there is
a visa required to get into Oman, and you should absolutely get that visa.
Yeah, it was. It
doesn't take, but
it's like evisa.com or something.
A day. Yeah, it's like a day for it to come through. It's not much, but.
But we went through their customs or whatever, and one guy looks at another guy, and they look at us, and
Yeah.
Going through.
Yeah, I'm wearing my Ironman hat. It's like, well, please just let us look like a couple of idiots. Just doesn't take much.
So there's never a dull moment around us. It was quite entertaining though. In the meantime, coming from the U.S., I mean, Sam, you were super worried about your bikes because the bikes weren't scanning.
Absolutely. So yeah,
I didn't care. I was like,
that was
whatever.
my joke
we
about
can
the
find bikes in
JFK
Oman.
taking off late. I have had luggage. Well, we had we took an earlier flight, and some of the luggage didn't make it, and so of course we're talking to the person afterwards, saying, "What could I have done to get this luggage here? Like, what did I do wrong?" Well, you didn't do anything wrong. Okay, but what could I have done? Like, well, you just bring it up earlier. Okay, game on. So my bag had scanned in, but my bike had not, and I need that. I cannot have that stuck at JFK, and I'm in Oman. And of course, it was important because I needed it to get to Dubai and then get on a different airline to Oman. So
yeah,
there was a logistical problem.
If it didn't make it on that plane, you weren't getting it for Oman because the airline is not obligated to deliver it to your final destination if that's not on your
correct
ticket or whatever.
So yeah, we would have been looking for a bike. So they were having a RFID problem, as it turns out, and the bike did make it. So Delta did great, but the flight attendant was super helpful.
But all that being said, were there bikes in Oman that you could have used had your bike not shown up?
Maybe.
There was a whole rack of them.
For sale!
I mean, you could have rented it.
Did you see a rental price on there? I saw a sale price on there.
I mean, you could have rented. There were bikes.
Yeah, I mean, you could pay full price and throw it away afterward. Boom, rented. Gotcha.
No, that's not how it was going to be.
Yeah.
You could have had a bike.
Yes. Yeah, I think we would have been okay. But
anyway.
Not as comfortable as it would have been on my bike.
All right, so we arrive in Oman and we're exhausted. We get to the hotel.
Oh man!
And all right, so we get to the hotel, and we had booked. So this was Wednesday. We booked Wednesday night because if you book Thursday night, you can't check in until 3:00 or whatever. So we wanted to check in when we got here, which was 6 in the morning.
6 in the morning, yeah.
So 6 in the morning, we get here. We're checking in. He's like, okay, well, breakfast is from 6:30 to 10:30 or 6:30 to
6:30 to 11.
6:30 to 11 for breakfast. And so the guy gets our bags and he's bringing our bags to the room and he's showing us everything. And he's like, okay, breakfast closes at 10:30.
Yeah.
And we're like, all right, we're gonna go to sleep for 2 hours and get up, eat breakfast, and then come back. And I mean, because it's not like Comfort Suites breakfast or whatever where you make your own waffle. I mean, this was their buffet. This was going to be our meal. And so we need to wake up, go get breakfast, then come back and we go back to sleep. And then we could sleep till, after lunchtime or whatever and go check in. So at some point during all of that, Sam's alarm had to go off because...
I have no memory of it. It probably did. And it probably did for a while and disturbed the neighbors.
And they came over and turned it off?
Maybe. That's maybe what happened because it did not wake either of us up.
So I wake up and it's 10:20, right? So buffet closes at 10:30. And so I wake up Sam and I'm like, hey man, you want to go get breakfast? And of course he's like, what time is it? And he's like, oh no, it's too late. We can't go. I'm like, all right, whatever. I don't care. I'm sleeping anyway. I'm going to go back to bed. And then he gets woke up a little bit more, about another minute or two.
Yeah.
And he's
it's
like,
10:24.
I think we can make it. Because
it's
just right around the corner.
Yeah.
I think we can make it. Let's go get something. And so we're rushing to go get something.
It's like 10:28 by the time we get there.
We get all the leftovers.
Nobody even disturbs us. I don't know what we must have looked like. Probably a mongrel horde. Like just getting in there with our plates and just digging in with the fork. But yes, get
so that was the. Then we can't. Did we come back and go back to sleep?
Came back, went back to bed. Yeah.
And then got up, went, checked in. We covered check in and the race and everything in our race review. Any stories with all of that?
No, the other.
The COVID protocols. I guess you can go over the COVID. What's the COVID protocols in Oman right now?
So they have temperature sensors. What I'm going to call it, one of them, it was like a FLIR, FLIR thing. So I have no idea.
Commercial temperature scanners or whatever, scanning everybody who's coming in the door, seeing if they have a temperature. And then you're supposed to show a COVID card also. All right, so one of the things that they want for their COVID protocols on their list of things that you need is a digital vaccination card. And so in the U.S., there's no such thing as a digital vaccination card, but the tip that we found was that the Clear app. So the company Clear, CLEAR, that helps you get through airports faster, has an app for that. But in their app, you can manually enter all of your vaccination dates and the manufacturer, lot number, all that kind of good stuff. And then it'll come up with a QR code. They accepted that QR code anywhere we had to show that. Nobody ever scanned it, so I'm guessing you could have shown them the QR code from anything. I mean, a sports ticket of anything. But whatever, that worked.
They needed a QR code to get in the building. So.
Yeah, and I mean, like I said, they never scanned it, so I don't guess it really mattered. But that did work. So that was probably about the only. I mean, you had to have PCR tests to get in. They weren't checking that stringently either. But it had to have a QR code, so they acted like they were checking it. Any other COVID stuff?
No.
So
we have gotten our PCR test. Well, excuse me, we have taken our PCR test to leave.
It hadn't come back yet.
But it was what, 12 real for.
It was 13. So
okay. 13 real
13
for
times
24 hour.
Yeah.
2.6.
So whatever that is, $32 or something like that for the 24-hour test.
Yeah.
I think it's the exact same test. They just test it faster for more money because you can get a 12-hour version or a 6-hour version. We got the 24-hour version. Hopefully it works out for us.
So, what else we...
So the next day we got in a taxi from the hotel.
Yeah, that guy was hilarious. We told him that we wanted to go to the Grand Mosque, and because we know we had, that was the big things to see, or the big things for TripAdvisor were the Grand Mosque and the Opera House.
And we ran by the Opera House like 20 times, so we saw all of it we wanted to see.
Sorry, man, you didn't want to go see an opera while you were here?
I mean, I'm just saying, it's a big opera house.
It is enormous. So yeah, he was like, "Yeah, you want to see the Grand Palace?" No, we want to go see the Grand Mosque. He's like, yes, and then the palace. Okay, that sounds nice. We can have that. So
he called it the Sultan Palace.
Sultan Palace.
On his little chart, it said the Royal Palace. Basically, just it's the Sultan or the King's Palace. But the mosque is the deal.
Oh.
If you come here, you want to go see the mosque. It's open from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m., and so that's why we wanted to go first, because you didn't want to get caught up in anything else and then not be able to get that. And that's a don't miss. Don't miss that if you come to
No, it was absolutely
Muscat.
worth seeing. You did need to wear pants. You're supposed to wear long sleeves. They didn't. I literally wore this exact same shirt. That's why it stinks. But they didn't give us any issues about short sleeve shirts. So it's technically long sleeves. Probably, I would say, women are more likely to get harassed about that than men. We did not. We saw some women with short sleeves that were in there, but definitely pants. They were kicking you out with shorts.
To go inside the mosque, inside the buildings, you had to take your shoes off, and they had nice cubbies to put your shoes in. But just know that, so that if you don't take any shoes that are difficult to take off, or whatever.
The outside floors were polished marble. This thing was unbelievable. Did you put some pictures on Instagram?
I have not put any
mosque pictures. Okay,
maybe we'll put some.
It's really, really pretty. Just the scale is incredible. And they started it our driver said 1979 and finished in 2000. and it looked like it had taken that much time. It was just gorgeous.
Yeah, beautiful. It holds 20,000 people for prayer. That's inside and outside, because there was definitely places outside for people to pray. But yeah, I mean that's
the main mosque was massive and had a carpet. It was a carpet on top of marble, but
it was a single carpet,
Persian
too,
rug style carpet. But yes, it was one carpet that was the entire.
I don't know how you got that in there.
building.
I mean, they had to make it in there because that's like 40, 50, 60,000 square feet of carpet.
Easy.
Yeah,
easily.
I mean, it was forever. It was huge.
Yeah, more than an acre of carpet.
Yeah. Anyway, it was
Very
don't
cool.
miss the mosque. The mosque is the thing.
We thoroughly enjoyed ourselves.
Yeah, yeah. And then the gardens around it, beautiful, flower gardens all around it. Anyway, don't miss that.
So then
The problem is that's it, really, because then we're going to all of these other things that our taxi driver wanted to take us to, and you were driving around. He didn't have a meter, and we're like, how much is this going to cost us? And he was like, oh, we're going to do this. 2 hours 20, 3 hours 30. So that worked out to be about like $26, $27 an hour. So we were like, oh yeah, we can do all that.
Yeah,
That's good.
no problem.
So then we what
We saw the Royal Palace. I wanted to see one of the forts because they had a bunch of really neat looking old forts, which may or may not still be in use apparently. Or
I think they wouldn't let us go in, so I think they might still be in use.
they had on the bay side of the palace, they had modern anti-aircraft guns sitting out there. So I don't.
They wouldn't let us go in the palace either. The gates were all closed, and it's a beautiful palace. I mean,
The gates were very nice. Yeah.
It is not tall. It is like
Massive.
spread out,
Yeah.
and it is massive. But we're talking to the guy, and we're like, how many of these are in Oman? How many palaces does the Sultan have? On the way over there, we passed his yacht, which looks like a cruise ship.
No, we passed two of his yachts, and the smaller yacht looked kind of like a small cruise ship. The other yacht looks like like they took a Carnival boat and just turned it into his yacht. It was massive,
very large. Anyway, 50 is the number. There are
50
50 palaces in Oman for the Sultan. So.
Just imagine the Sultan out there cutting grass on 50. Which houses are we cutting today, man? I think he has like a red Nissan truck that he drives.
He might. He probably does. Can he get all 50 in one day? Or at least in a weekend? When Sam was in college, we would cut grass, and so that's out of the Nissan truck. So that's why he's saying that. Anyway, went from the palace to the fort, from the fort to the bazaar, and I mean shopping's not my thing. He wanted to make sure we went in there, and we went in there, and we were like, oh, we've had enough of this real quick.
Yeah.
And you can probably get lost in there because we went in one way and started coming out the other, and we were kind of looking for, we had kind of. Sam was good enough to look up see some of the signs at the stores, and so we were looking back for some of the signs at the stores of the hall that we needed to go down. I mean, a lot of flea market-ish type. I mean, it was nicer than a flea market because they were new goods, but people outside, oh, come in. You can see, get all this or whatever. And what we thought was rocks.
Yeah.
Everybody had these bags and bags of rocks, and we're like, what? I mean, they're unmarked. They're just rocks is what it looked like. Well, it turned out it was
frankincense or myrrh
or something.
both.
Anyway, it was something that anyway. So there was a lot of that. So if you wanted some frankincense or myrrh, then
I have got a place for you.
This is the place for you because they had bags and bags of it. Anything that we saw after that?
No. We head back to the hotel after that.
That was it. And that was pretty much. I mean, there were other forts. There were other palaces. Maybe there were other.
There was
sites.
lots of other natural sites to see that were on there. Forts and that kind of thing, and we just didn't choose to.
I mean, it doesn't feel like I mean, the beach. The beach was one thing, and I mean, we ran by the beach 20 times too.
Yeah.
On the Ironman race, we ran by the Opera House and the beach. But it felt like you could do all this stuff in a day, 2 days. Maybe.
Yeah, 2 days probably knock out
Yeah.
a lot of this area. So there's a lot more to Oman than just Muscat. But yeah, it was cool. Recommend the trip.
Yeah.
There was no time that I felt unsafe. There was no time that we were looked at strangely, in other than filming on the back porch while guys are working. Yeah, this was, a very safe. It's different than Egypt. Egypt had armed police on every intersection almost, and we certainly have seen. Sorry, Cairo. Yes. Well, and then in Hurghada, like to get into
it's all locked
thing,
up too. Yeah.
And we saw plenty of police trucks, especially during the race.
Right.
But I have not seen a single armed policeman walking around.
And we've been out at night, walking around in places that you shouldn't walk because we were cutting through from one place to another, and never had an issue.
Yeah, we're in the
nice area.
Yeah, we're in a
area.
very nice area.
We're in the embassy zone. Actually, if you're watching this, it's good because we've escaped. Because the Russian embassy is right next door. And while we're filming this, it's right when Russia has invaded Ukraine. So, anyway, hopefully this makes it out to everybody.
There were lots of Russian jokes as we were passing by the embassy, so I'm sure we're on a list in America and Russia now. Yay!
Hopefully by the time you're seeing this, that's all taken care of and it was settled peacefully and we're good.
Not so much right now.
Yeah,
we'll see.
Right now it's kind of tough.
So yeah, we fly out to Dubai today. We have Dubai race next week, but we are going to have a lot of adventures in Dubai. So we should have plenty of stories. Stay tuned for our next race stories from Dubai. So thanks so much for watching.
Bye, guys.